Hello friends, welcome back. Welcome to the new video. In this video, I'm going to create a simple to-do app using React, and I'm going to use a middleware called Redux Saga. Okay. So if you have learned basic on Redux, so this will be helpful for you. So what is Redux? Okay. So here I can show you what is Redux. So basically Redux helps to manage the global state of your application in a predictable way. Okay. So here, as you can see, what Redux do is Redux shares the data between the component, debug and track changes over time, maintain and scale large application. So for example, if you have five components, one is the parent component, and there are four more components, child components for that parent component. I hope you have heard the term called prop drilling. Okay. So let's say if you want to pass your data from the parent component to the fifth child, then what you have to do is you have to pass the data from the first parent component to the first child, from the first child to the second, second to the third, third to the fourth. So to avoid all this prop drilling, people use Redux. Okay, so this was the basic knowledge on Redux. So now in Redux, uh, we also have like you can make a call on API, and then what it does is it helps to like do things asynchronously. Okay, so for that we need to use a middleware. So Redux Saga. So what is Redux Saga? So Redux Saga is a middleware. Okay, Redux Saga is a middleware library used in Redux application to handle the side effect like API calls, timer, background task. Okay, accessing the browser, local storage, etc. So there are libraries around the internet. Okay, or you can say we can use that libraries along with the React. For example, there is a famous library Redux Thunk. Okay, I have not created any video on Redux Thunk. Okay, in maybe in future I'll create. Uh, and there is one more RTK query. Okay, so that is also now more popular. So and one is Redux Saga. Okay, so mostly people use this kind of library to handle the API call. Okay, so why use Redux Saga? So Redux by itself is synchronous, as I told you. So meaning it cannot handle async logic like API calls. Okay, so synchronous like it wait for one task to finish and then it will take the other task. Redux. But what these libraries do, they help us to do things in asynchronously. Okay, so that's why people use the middleware called Redux Saga or Redux Thunk or maybe like RTK query. Okay, so in this video we are going to see, we are going to create a small to-do app, but here in this video I have not used any API calls. Okay, I just want to create a small to-do app where we can understand the basic setup of Redux Saga. And one more thing, I will not explain in depth for Redux Saga. Okay, because then it will take around 5 to 6 hours to create a video. So if you want me to create a bigger video or maybe a series of videos on Redux Saga, then I at least need 500 likes on this video. So first we will see the demo of this application. So let me inspect and let me go to Redux. Okay. So as you can see, we have this to do. Uh, Initially the to dos will be empty, but let's say if I add morning walk, okay, and if I hit enter, so as you can see, this action has been dispatched, add to do, and we have added a task called morning walk, and this is the ID. Okay, and after morning walk, what I want to do is have breakfast. Okay, so breakfast, and if I click here, so now this again an action has been dispatched, and as you can see, we have this task called have breakfast, and if I refresh, so it doesn't go away. Okay, it doesn't go away. Here as you can see, we are storing this in a local storage. Okay, I have refreshed. That's why the action has it is not showing me the actions. But if I click on this delete, okay, so now this delete to do action has been dispatched, and right now we will only have one to do left. Okay, so uh, that's what we are going to create in this application. Okay, I'm not going to create any API. I won't be able to. So I'm not going to make any API calls. Okay, in this video. And if you want me to create a detailed video on like API calls or maybe in-depth explanation on Redux Saga, so as I told you, you need to uh, like this video, and I want around 500 likes on this video. So then only so then only I'll be creating entire series or maybe an entire a bigger video on Redux Saga. Okay. So this was the demo of this application, and for UI I'm going to use Material UI. And for Material UI I have already started a series on Material UI, so you can watch all that videos. So right now I have only created one video, but I'll be continuing creating the videos. Okay, so this was the demo, and let's start working on the application. Okay, so let me just delete. So this was the demo, and to start working, first what I'm going to do is I'm going to install the packages. Okay, the UI packages like Material UI. Then we will start creating the HTML. Okay, first we will create the HTML, then we will do the setup for the Redux Saga. Okay, so let's go to Visual Studio Code and let me open the terminal. And inside the desktop, I have created a folder called projects, and inside I have React projects. So inside the React project, I'm going to create my app. So I'm going to use the Vite. Okay. So here we need this command to create the React application. So here it is showing npm create Vite latest and the name of the app, and then a dash 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 template, and this is Vue, but we are not going to create Vue. We are going to create React. So here we will change it to React. Okay, so let's do it. Npm create Vite @latest. Then what the name of the app, that is going to be to do hyphen saga. Okay, to do saga. And then what we need is hyphen 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 template, that is going to be React. Okay, let me just check. Okay, so what I'm going to do is let me make this side by side so that we can view it properly. So what was the command? npm create Vite @latest. Name of the app is to do hyphen saga, then dash dash. Here I think we don't need a space, so let me just remove the space. Template, that is going to be React, and let's hit enter. So it will create a folder called to do saga. And let me stop that application here. So this was the application which I created. Or let's keep this open. That is not an issue. So then we can check, verify. So this is asking me the framework. So we need to use the down arrow key. Okay, down arrow key. So I'm going to select React. Okay, so first, second, third one. And once you select React, then hit enter. Okay, so select a variant. So do you want TypeScript? Oh, I just want JavaScript. Okay, I don't want TypeScript. Okay, so JavaScript. This is done. Now, what we need to do is we need to go to cd to do saga, to do hyphen saga. Okay, and now we need to do npm install. Okay, so npm install, hit enter. So it will install all the packages needed for the application. So npm install is done, and 33 package are looking for funding. Okay, Now let's open the folder. So click on this open folder, and on my desktop, yeah, I have a projects, React projects, and to do saga. Okay. So let me open the folder. This is the source file. This is the app.jsx. So just open the terminal, and here we can do npm run dev. Okay. npm run dev, hit enter. So now let's copy this, go to the browser, hit enter. So our React application is running. Okay. So now what we will do is uh, we are going to use material UI, and we will create some HTML pages first. Okay. We will create the UI. So then we can just focus on the Redux part. Okay. So for that, let's install uh, the material UI thing packages. So I'm just going to use the git bash, or you can just open the command prompt, or maybe git bash. So I'm just doing a git bash. Okay. Let me use command prompt. Okay, I'm confused. So let me open this command prompt, and here I'm going to install material UI packages. So npm install, and here I'm going to use MUI @MUI/material. Okay, material. Okay, then we need @emotion/react. Then we need emotion/styled. Okay, so the last two are for styling. Okay, and we also need icons. Okay, so install @MUI/icons. Okay, slash icons slash okay icons slash sorry hyphen material. Okay, let's hit enter, and let me open the package.json. So here we can see all the packages that are going to be installed related to material UI. So now, as you can see, this dependencies have been installed, material UI, okay, which is 7.2.0. So now this is done. Okay, so let me just close this package.json. And now inside the app.jsx, we are going to start working on the HTML part. Now let's start. Now let's start creating the HTML. So let me close this, as this is running on 1.5. So let's remove this imports. We don't require the imports. Now let's remove this const. Okay, we don't require this as well. Let's remove the entire div. Okay, and let's save the file. And if I go to index.js, this the CSS, this also I don't want it. Let's go to app.css. This also we don't want. So let's remove everything. Save this file, and let's remove the uh, brackets, and then we'll take a box from material UI. Okay, so this is loading actually. I want to auto import from material UI, but somehow it is not giving me the list. So let's type it. Okay, and at the top, let's import from material UI. So import, and inside the curly braces, I'll be typing box. And if I click here, so now it is giving it a auto import option. Okay, and now let's add the closing tag for the box. Save this file. Now inside the box, I'll be taking app bar. Okay, now it is auto imported, and position, that is going to be static. Let me close the app bar, and inside the app bar, Here I'm going to take a toolbar. Let's add a closing tag as well. So as you can see, we are having the stripe here in the browser, and inside the toolbar, I'll be adding a icon button. Okay, so that is also auto imported. Edge, that is going to be start. Color, that is inherit. Area, that is menu, because we are creating the menu for our application. And let's add a closing tag for icon button, and inside the icon button, here I'm going to take menu. Actually, I need a menu icon, which I need it from uh, icon material, so that we will import. So import menu icon from MUI icon materials menu. Okay, if I save this, so now as you can see, we have the icon on the right side. Now after the icon button, I need a typography. So typography and variant, that is going to be H5 and not H6. Okay, and component we can keep it as div. So let's keep it as a div. Let me just close, and inside the typography I'll be adding to do's text. Okay, so this typography, I think we need to import. First let's try to do Saga, and then we can import this from material. Okay, material UI. So now if I save this, as you can see, we have this title to do Saga. Okay, so this is done. Now after the app bar, I'll be taking a container from material UI. So then inside the container, I'll be taking paper. Okay, so this is what I imported. And if I close the paper, and okay, this is not auto imported, so let's do an auto import. And then inside the paper, here I'm going to type a text called add to do. And if you can see, we have having a box type. Okay, add to do, and we have a shadow. So if we don't want the shadow, we can just type elevation and we can keep it as 0. So now the shadow has gone. Okay, as you can see, we have add to do, and now we want to style the container and the paper. Okay, so we are going to use import style from material UI. Okay, so here I'm going to type import, and inside the curly braces I'll be typing style. The S should be small. Okay, from MUI material styles. Okay, so this is done now. Now I'll take a const. Okay, I'll create a variable const, and let's keep the name as style container. This name you can keep whatever you want. I'm just keeping style container because we are styling the container, and here I need to type style, and then we need to pass which component we want it to style. So we need want it to style container. So here I'm going to pass the container. Okay, and then inside the round brackets we need to pass, inside the curly braces we need to pass the theme. So let's do it. Okay, so double opening round brackets, inside we need to pass a curly braces and theme, and then an arrow function, and inside the arrow function here we are going to do the styling. So round brackets, curly braces, and inside we can type our class properties. So margin top, that is going to be, and we can use the theme. So theme dot spacing. In my case, I'll be keeping as 2. So spacing, and inside I'm going to pass as 4. Okay, and then what else we need? We don't need margin bottom, so I'm going to remove that. Okay, it is giving me some error because I think there is some extra. Okay, let's first remove the margin bottom and then here I'm going to take max width, that is going to be 600, and I think there is some extra syntax, so that we need to remove. I think the round brackets is extra at the top, so let's remove that. Save this. So now it is working fine. You can see the application running. Let's copy this style container and replace with the container. Okay, so this is done. So we have added the style for that container, and similarly now we can do it for the paper. Okay, so let's take a const and we can name it as instead of style paper, I'll just say wrapper. Okay, the name, as I told you, you can give whatever you want, but the method is same, equals to style, and then we need to pass whatever we do style. Here in my case paper. Okay, then open the round brackets. Inside we can have a curly braces theme, then we can take an arrow function. So let's take an arrow function, and inside we can just style our paper component. So here I'm going to do padding, that is going to be theme dot spacing, and just pass it as 2. Okay, then I need text align, that is going to be centered. Okay, and just copy this wrapper and replace with the paper. Save this. So as you can see, now the attribute is in the center. If you check the design, okay, this is the thing we need to achieve. Let's go to our application, and if you can see, this we will achieve once we create our UI. Now we will create the required component. So inside the source folder, I'll create a new inside the source folder I'll create a new folder and name it as components, and inside the components I'll create a new file, and here I'm going to name it as add to do.jsx. Okay, and here I am going to type RAFCE press tab, and let's save this and go back to app.jsx, and we can import the app to do component here. So here I'm going to type app component, sorry, add to do. Okay, and if I click here, it is auto imported. So as you can see, we have auto imported our add to do component. Okay, save this. As you can see, we are having this add to do here, and if I go back and if I change something here, let's say if I do hello to do, maybe like hello to do. If I save this, you can see hello to do is being printed, but let's keep it as add to do. Save this. Okay, so now let's go back, and we need one more component, which is to do list. So let's create that also. So inside the component, I'll create a new file and name it as to do list.jsx. Hit enter, and here I'm going to do RAFC press tab. Okay, save this. Let's go back to app.jsx, and we need to import it here. So to do list. Use this. It is auto imported. Save this. So as you can see, we have this add to do list here. Now we will do some styling for add to do. Okay, so here let me remove this div and add to do, and instead I will take a box. Okay, so box I need to import from material UI, and let me close this box, and inside the box I'll be taking a text field from material UI. So text field. Okay, let me click here, and let's close this, save this. So as you can see, we are getting this text field, but we need to do some styling for that. So here I'm going to add some classes, okay, which I'm getting from the material UI. So there are a lot of different way of styling in material UI. So the one way which I showed you here was adding a styled, okay, and then we can style that container, or okay, that's one way we can do it. And then the other one was so this is the other way. Okay, here inside only we can add the properties like display, and that is going to be flex, Okay, then we need flex direction, that is going to be column. Okay, sorry, spelling is incorrect. So flex direction, that is going to be column. Then what else we need? We don't need the gap. We need align items, and that is going to be center. Then we need justify content, that is going to be justify content, that is equal to center. Then what else we need? We need padding, so I'll just take P, and that is going to be 2. Then we need border, that is going to be 1. Okay, let me check if I save this. Okay, so yeah, let's keep typing. So border radius, okay, I'm not going to explain each and every property because then it will take too much time to complete this one video. So instead what I'm doing is I'm just typing it, and maybe in between I can make you understand that this is the class, what it is doing, this property what it is doing. Okay, so we need the box shadow. So for that I am going to take 3. Okay, width, that is going to be 50%. Okay, you can adjust as per your need, and margin, that is going to be auto. Okay, save this. Now okay, we will remove this because here also we will add some CSS. Okay, so now inside the text field I'll be taking text field, yeah, label, that is going to be add new to do. Okay, then variant, what will be the variant? So variant, that is going to be filled. Okay, width, I need full width. Then I need margin, that is going to be normal. Save this. Okay, so now this is the box, and inside we have this text field, which is looking good. And after the text field I need a button, so button from material UI. Okay, and variant, that is going to be content. Okay, and color, that is going to be primary, and we need the width to be full width. I'll take, yeah, width we can take full width, or we can take an SX property. Okay, and here we can define the CSS which we need. So margin top, I need 2, sorry, margin top, that is going to be equal to 2. And then what else I need? Width, that is going to be 100%. Okay, this is not, this should be colon. Okay, oh, so yeah, button, I have not closed it, so button, still it is giving me issue. Oh, here I have added 3, so we only need to close. Inside the button I need to type something, right? Add to do. Button I have imported, yeah, button is imported. Variant is content, color, that is primary, SX, margin top to width. Okay, why it is not showing me? Okay, let me just check what is the issue with this. Okay, I'm not able to see anything. Why this is? Let me just comment this out. Okay, now we can see, but after adding the button I'm having the problem. Okay, let me just add once again. Variant, that is going to be content, and let me just stop it here, and here I'm going to say add to do. Save this. Okay, now we can see it. So what was the mistake? So here after, oh wait, I have done container. This is contained, okay, not container. Okay, so now we can have this button, a good looking button, and here I wanted to add color that is going to be primary. Yeah, now it is working. And this one SX, what was the issue with that? Magenta up to width, that is going to be, oh yeah, that was a mistake. Width I need to give something like 100%. So yeah, let me just remove this and we will keep this. So now we are, as you can see, this is looking much better. Okay, so if I make it bigger, so it will be like this, so as it was here. Okay, it is similar. Now we will style the to-do list. Okay, so let's open that to-do list. Here it is. So now let me just make it bigger. So let's first finish the HTML, then we can concentrate on the Redux Saga part, because HTML is taking time. After, if I create the HTML later, then obviously it will take some time. So let me just finish the HTML part here itself, so it would be better. Okay, so now what happened to this? Okay, yeah, now it is fine. Okay, so as you can see, this is looking good. Now let's complete this to-do list HTML as well. So let me just remove the div, and instead I can take a container from material UI. Let me close this container, and inside I'll be taking title from material UI, and that title, that is going to be to do list. Okay, save this. Okay, still we need to add ULLI. I am going to do it ULLI. Okay, this we are going to style it. So here I'm going to say morning walk. Save this. Container from oh, title. Why this title is like imported from material icon? I don't know. Let me just comment this out, and I think here I need to add the title. Let me do it this way. Why this is happening? Let me comment this out. Why this ULLI is not working? One second, let me just comment this out so that we can understand what is the issue. Title is not there in I think there is a problem. Title, do we have the title in container? Okay, so there is nothing called title. So let me just remove this, and let me just remove it from here as well. And instead of title, we can take h2 tag. Okay, so now this is looking much better, and ULLI we need it. Okay, so ULLI. Okay, so now as you can see, we are getting this. Let me copy and paste it here, and here I am going to say have breakfast. Save this. Okay, so this is static. Okay, right now we are just adding the HTML, so let's keep this static, and we will do some styling, so then it will help us for like creating the dynamic part. Okay, and here instead of container, let's take it a div. Okay, and let's remove this container. We will style this div. Okay, so now we need a button here. So here Inside the li, I'm going to say icon button. Let's click here. So button is imported, and area label, I need area label. That is going to be delete. Okay, we need delete button. And inside the icon button, I will take delete button. So delete icon or delete icon. Okay, delete icon. We need to import this. Okay, so delete icon. Right now this delete icon, we need it from the icons. So here I'm going to say import delete icon from material. Okay, delete. So now as you can see, we are having this delete button. Similarly, we need this in this UL li also. Then we'll make it dynamic. First let's finish this. So then we are done with the HTML. Delete. Okay, this is fine. Now what else we need? We need to do some styling for this div and all. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that styled. Okay, so here let me just import styled from material MUI material styles, and then we can take the constant. So constant container. Okay, container, I'm just going to take a variable named container styled, and we are going to style the div. Okay, the first one is div, right? So I'm going to style that. Okay, sorry, here I need double round brackets, and inside we are passing the theme. Let's close this. Then we need an arrow function. And what else? Okay, it is giving all the suggestions. So padding, that is going to be 20 pixels. Okay, font family Arial. Okay, then what else we need? Max width, we need max width, that is going to be 400. I don't want 600, I want. Okay, margin auto, let's keep this 400, and margin I'm going to take it as 40 pixels, and then auto. Okay, save this. And now this container I'm going to replace with this div. That's it. Okay, so this is done. Now the second one is h2 tag. So let's create for h2 tag title. Okay, this is fine. Title style h2 tag. And what are the CSS classes we required? We need color, that is going to be #333, and text align, that is going to be center. That's it. And we are going to close this, save this, and just copy title and paste it here instead of h2. Okay, so this is done. Now we have ULLI. So for UL we are going to take the name as list. Okay, equal to styled, and then we are going to style the UL first. So list style input, that is going to be none, because we are having this radio icons or rounded icons which we don't want, so I'll keep that none. Okay, and padding, that is going to be 0. Let me remove the margin. And list I'm going to copy, and instead of UL I'm going to paste it. So make sure that UL, both the UL have been replaced with the list. Okay, save this. So that radio, that rounded thing is gone away. And then we have the list. Okay, li. So const list item, and we are going to style the li. Okay, it is giving me a lot of options. So display flex we need, justify content we need space between, and then we also need align content. Okay, align content. So align content, that is going to be center. We need the background color. Yes, we need the background color. Then we need padding. Okay, then what else we need? We need the margin as well. So margin, that is going to be 10 pixels and 0. Order bottom last child. Let me just copy this and let me just paste it here instead of this li. Okay, so it is giving me like this. Okay, fine. But what else? We also need the radius, right? Okay, because we have added the border. Let's add the border radius 5 pixels. Okay, 4 pixels, or maybe we can take it 5 pixels. Okay, so border radius. Okay, border bottom, that is meant for the last child. Okay, don't want this border radius, we can keep as it is. Okay, this is looking better, but we need a box shadow, right? Because let's try with the box shadow. So box shadow, where it is already giving me 0 to 4 RGBA. Save this. This is looking good, but why this is not centered? Why this is not centered? Justify content space between, align content center, background, this is fine. What is align item centers? Okay, this is now in the center, and this content I think we don't require. Okay, now this is looking much better. Okay, this functionality will not work, nothing will work. Okay, nothing will work because we have only created the CSS. And if I remove this border bottom from the last child, okay, this is looking better, right? Because we need the border. So let me remove this, and we need the border. Okay, so let's keep the border bottom. Yeah, this is fine. Or maybe why we need border bottom? Okay, let's keep it. It looks better. Okay, so this is, and then now we will start working on that, adding to do and all. Okay, so for that we need to install some packages of which are related to Redux. Okay, so let's do it. Now we will start installing the packages required for Redux. So let's open the terminal by pressing Ctrl and backtick key, and inside the CMD here, let me just make this small. Okay, so here I'm going to type npm. Okay, let me just clear this out, and here I'm going to type npm install, or we can just say I, okay, which represent install @redux /toolkit. Let me check 1 second. Redux toolkit. Let me just check what is the npm install for that. So Redux JS, okay, Redux JS /toolkit. Okay, then we need React -Redux. Then we need the Redux Saga. So Redux -Saga. Okay, so if I go to Redux Saga, so here is the website, getting started. So here it is, npm install Redux Saga. Okay, then we also need one thing. Once we add the to do, so we need a unique ID. For that I'm going to install a package called short ID. Okay, short ID, and let's hit enter. So all the packages are being installed. If I check here, so as you can see, we have this Redux JS toolkit, we have React Redux, we have Saga, we have this short ID. Okay, so let me just close this as well, and then we are going to create the folder called Redux inside the src folder. So let's create a new folder, name it as Redux, and we will create the files, but I'll create one by one. Okay, so the first file which I required is constant. Okay, constant.js. Let me just close this, and here I'm going to say export const add underscore to do equals to add underscore to do. Okay, so this is the constant file, so we can use this constant wherever required. Okay, so this is done. Then we need, okay, here it is, spelling is incorrect. Okay, then we need constant for removing the to do. So remove underscore to do equals to remove to do. Okay, let me just save this. So this constant file is the first file which we have created. Let me close this, and now let's go back here, and the second file which we are going to create is the action file, action.js. So actions.js. so if you have learned a little bit of Redux, so you might be knowing that we need action that can be dispatched, and that actions are being dispatched to the reducers, and then the reducers do the logic work, and then it passes to the store, then it updates the store. Okay, so basically the funda is that this actions have been dispatched to the reducers. Okay, so we need the action.js file. So here we need the action creator. So action creator for adding a to do. Okay, so export const add to do equals to, we need to pass a parameter called to do, and here we need the arrow function, and type that is going to be add to do. Okay, and payload we need to pass the entire to do. Okay, that will be an object. Okay, so now we need the action creator for the removing to do. So export const remove to do, and here in the parameter we are passing the id. Okay, because we are going to delete using the id. Okay, so here I'm going to say type remove, and payload will pass the id in the payload. Okay, so let me save this. So this action file has been created. We have wrote export const so that we can export it, import anywhere in the application. So let me just close this as well. So these are the steps. Okay, because my intention here is to provide you the steps how to create a Redux Saga, because when you see a lot of videos, the steps which I find was missing somewhere. So then I thought, let's create a small to-do app where I can do a setup for the people who are like beginners, or maybe people who are working on Redux, so at least they can do a setup and they can work on it. So as I told you, if you need more and more explanation of Redux on Redux Saga, so I'll create a dedicated video for explaining everything in Redux Saga. Okay, so basically now these two files are done. Now we need to do reducer. Okay, so let's create that to do reducer .js file. Okay, let me make it bigger, and here first we need an initial state. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, here I'm going to add a comment, initial state for to do reducer. Okay, so const initial reducer. Okay, initial state, I can say initial state, yeah, this is fine. And inside the object, inside the object I'll take a to do's property, and it will be an empty array. Okay, this will be an empty array initially. Then we need the reducer function. Okay, reducer function to handle the action related to to-dos. Okay, so now const we need a to do reducer. We'll take a const with the name to do reducer, and here we need a state. Okay, the parameter that is going to be state, and which is equal to the initial state which we created. Okay, so let me just copy and paste, and the second parameter is the actions. Okay, so now, and yes, we need an arrow function. Okay, it is giving me all the stuff, so but we are going to type it. So here we need a switch case, so switch, and then we can pass the action dot type, and the first case, what is happening here? Okay, I think I am pressing some other key instead of enter. So first case, that is going to be add underscore to do. Okay, that is going to be return, and first we need to destructure the current state. Okay, so here I'm going to say spread the current state. Okay, because initially maybe we have entered some to-dos already. Okay, so that we need to maintain. So for that we need to take a spread operator, and we need to spread the entire current state, and then we need to add the to-dos. So here we can add the to-dos like this. So to-dos, and we need to take the array because our to-dos is in the array. Okay, so we need to update this array. For that we need to first spread the to-dos which are already there. So dot state dot to-dos. Okay, so what this will do, this will take all the to-dos which are already there, and then it will pass the add the new to-do. Okay, so action dot payload, that's the important thing. Okay, add a new to-do in the list. Why it is giving me error? To-do action dot payload, add a new to-do to the existing to-dos. Okay, okay, so this is done now. So this case is done. I think here I can add a comment, action to add a new to do. Okay, then I'll be writing, okay, action to remove a to do by its ID. So here I'm going to add a case that is going to be remove to do. Okay, and let's say return, and here we are going to take the current state. Okay, we are going to spread the current state, so it is already doing it for us. And then, okay, let me just remove this, and I'm going to type it because to-dos. Okay, so again we need this to-dos because it is our property here. So state dot to-dos dot filter, we are going to filter out the to-dos with the ID. Okay, so to-do, and then we need an arrow function. So to-do dot ID, okay, which is not equal to action dot payload dot ID. Okay, filter out the to-do to be removed. Save this. Do we require this ID? Because anyways we are passing the ID in the payload. So let me just remove this. If required we can add it, but right now I don't think so we require to do action dot payload dot ID. We only need action dot payload, because here if you can see in the action we are already we are passing the ID in the payload. So why action dot payload dot ID dot ID, or do we need to pass? Okay, let's see if required we can add it once we do the UI for this. Then that in that case we will see, but as of now I don't see. So now write the default case. Okay, default case to return the current state if no action matches. So default, and that is going to be return state. Okay, save this. So our reducer has, we have completed our reducer, the to do reducer. Okay, then what we can do is we will create the root reducer. Okay, this is the Saga part actually. So let me just close this, and here inside the Redux folder I'll create a new file, and here I'm going to say root reducer, okay, .js. Hit enter. Let me close this, and now here we are going to import combine reducers from Redux JS toolkit, and then we need to import the to do reducer which we have created. So to do reducer from to do reducer. Okay, this is the perfect line. Okay, and then we are going to say const root reducer, and then we are going to take a function called combine reducer, and inside the combine reducer I'm going to take the to do's. Okay, and then we are going to pass that to do reducer here. Okay, so this is done. Now we can just export default our root reducer. Okay, export default root reducer. Default, okay, spelling is incorrect. Okay, so this is done. This is the root reducer that combines all the reducer in the application. So yeah, this is correct. Currently it includes only to do reducer, which manages the state of to do. So this is perfect. It is giving us the structure allows us for easy scalability for more features. I have been adding feature. Okay, fine. So that as you can see, we have right now we only have this to do application, so we have created to do. But if you have like authentication or something like that, so we can add more reducers here. Like for authentication, we can say auth, and then we can pass it as auth reducer or something like that. Okay, so this is where we can combine all the reducers. Okay, so as of now we have created only to do reducer, so we are combining that into a root reducer. Okay, I hope this is clear. Now what else we need? Okay, we need the Saga, to do Saga. This is the Saga part actually. Okay, to do saga.js. Okay, now let's import take every, okay, from Redux Saga effect. So there are different effects like take every, then we have put, okay, then we have put, then we have call. So right now we only need take every and put. Okay, I will just tell you what is call. When you are calling the API, at that time you need the call. Okay, but when you are adding a to do or something, you are adding into an array, that time you need to this put. Okay, so let me just work on it, and then I can explain you in much better way. So here we have a watcher function. Okay, in Saga there is a watcher Saga. Okay, so watches for the action dispatched to the store starts work Saga. Okay, so basically what happens is here is like we need to create a function, a watcher function. Whenever you dispatch an action, so this Saga watches the action, which action has been dispatched, and it will, like, suppose if you have dispatched action called add to do. So now what this watcher function will do, this will say the worker function. Okay, there is a watcher function and there is a worker function. So watcher function will watch which action has been dispatched, and it will tell the worker function, okay, you need to work on this. Okay, you need to work on this. So that way it works. That way React Saga works. So here I'm going to create a function. Okay, so function, and these functions are generator functions. Okay, so what are generator function? So basically a generator function in JavaScript is a special type of function that can pause and resume its execution. Okay, so it is declared using function and then a asterisk mark. Okay, and inside we have a keyword called yield to pause the execution and return a value. So we will use the yield. Okay, so let me just complete the function. So then here I'm going to say, because we have add and delete, so this name is not correct. So what I'm going to do is watch to do Saga. Okay, or maybe you can say watch to do actions, because this will watch the actions, which actions have been dispatched. And here we are going to take that yield keyword. Okay, and here I'm going to say take every, because it will take all the things from that function. Okay, so every, and here I'm going to say here we can give add underscore to do, but instead of this I'm going to say add underscore to do async. Okay, why async? And here I'm going to give the name of the function which we are going to create. This we have not yet created, so we need to create this. And why async and why not add to do? Oh, sorry, here we need to add to do, because as you see, these middlewares are mostly used for calling the API, but in this course we are not, in this video we are not going to use the API. Okay, so we can give the name add to do, and that I will explain once we are working on the UI. At that time I can explain you in much better way, but here right now let's give the name as add to do async. Okay, and here I'm going to say add to do Saga. This is much better way of writing the names. Okay, and then this function. Okay, and then again here I'm going to say yield take every, then remove to do async. Okay, because we are going to create the remove function as well. Okay, so now this was the watcher function, and now we will create the worker function at the top. You can create the bottom, you can create at the bottom, but let's create at the top. So this is the watcher function. Watcher Saga watches the action dispatch to store start worker Saga which starts the worker Saga. So here is the worker Saga makes the API call when watcher Saga sees the action. So we are not going to do any API call, but still I just wanted to show you that we can work without this function also if we are not using API, but for API we need this. So that's why I am doing the setup for everything. I'll show you if we don't use this function then what can we do. Okay, so that we will see when we will work on the UI part. Okay, so here I'm going to say this is also a generator function. So function, then an extract, then here I'm going to say add to do Saga. This is the name of the function which we have given it. So this is a watcher function. It watches which action has been dispatched. Okay, this is dispatched. Okay, this we will use in the UI. So then it will give the command to this worker function. Okay, you need to work on this. So that way this entire application works. Okay, so action, here we need to pass the action, and inside what I'm going to do is here I'm going to say yield. Okay, for API you can use this try catch, but we are not using the API. So yield, and then here I'm going to say put, and then type that is going to be add to do. Okay, which was the constant which we created, and then we can pass the action dot payload. Okay, so this one, and then we can create the function for remove to do. So let me just hit enter, and here I'm going to say function. This is a generator function, so asterisk mark is required. Remove to do Saga, we need to pass the action, and here similarly we can do yield, again put, and then type will be remove to do, and payload will be action dot payload. Okay, so now we need to export this. So export default, and we need to export the watch to do Saga. This watcher function we need to export. Okay, so this part is important. You need to just concentrate on this watcher function and worker function. So watcher function will watch which action has been dispatched, and then it will tell the worker function, okay, you need to do this work. Okay, so that is the Saga thing. And then we will create one more I think we need two more files. Okay, that two more. One is for the store and one is for the root Saga. Okay, so then the setup is completed. So root Saga, the setup is something like we need to do once, and then everything will be easy for us to work on. So import, and here I'm going to import all from Redux Saga effect. Okay, and here we are going to import the not watch to do action. We have what we have created, import watch to do Saga. Okay, let me just check the name. Watch to do Saga, right? We need to import this from to do Saga. Okay, this is done. Now we will create a generic function. Let me close this function asterisk. Then we need root Saga. I'll keep the name root Saga. Okay, and inside this object I'll say yield all, and then watch to do Sagas. Okay, watch to do Sagas. This was the name, correct? What was the name for to do Saga? Watch to do Saga. I I think here it is watch to do sagas. No, saga. Okay, and then we need to export this. So export default root saga. We need to export this root saga. Okay, this is done. Now we will finally create the store. So this is the last step for setting up. Then one more thing is that we need to go in the app.js and we need to use the provider and we need to pass the store. So that we will do. Okay, so let me just close this and let's create a new file and name it as store.js. Okay, this is so standard way of creating the store. So there is like you can watch on their in this also you can watch it and you can just use it, but here let me just type it because that will be much more clearer. Okay, so configure store, these are like standard things which you okay from not configure store, from Redux toolkit. Okay, then what else we need? We need a function called create saga middleware from Redux Saga. Okay, then what else we need? We need to import root reducer from the reducer, and then we need the root saga from the saga. Okay, from the saga. I think the name is what? Root reducer? Root saga, right? Root saga. And this is root reducer, right? Root reducer. So file name is root reducer. Okay, and this file name is root saga, and the function is root reducer and root saga. So this is fine now. Now what else we can do is we will create the saga middleware. Good. Constant saga middleware equals to create saga middleware. The function here we need from we have imported from Redux Saga, which we are going to use it here, and this way we need to do it. That's it. Okay, and then configure the store with the root reducer and saga middleware. Okay, so here I'm going to say, where is the cursor? Const store equals to, and here we are going to use this configure store. Okay, this we are going to use it here, and inside the object we are taking the reducer as root reducer. Okay, so here we are taking the alias, okay, reducer as root reducer, because we have kept the name as root reducer, and then the middleware. Okay, so middleware, again this is also standard way of writing it. So get default middleware. Okay, it has given me all the things. So get default middleware and then an arrow function. So here we are going to say, okay, we are not using thunk. Okay, so this we don't require, just remove this dot concat, and here we are going to pass this saga middleware. Okay, then in the last we will run this root saga. So for that we need to type saga middleware dot run, and we need to pass this root saga. Okay, so entire store has been created. Save this. So now this part is also completed, and here we need to export. So thank you for suggestion. Export default root store. Export type root state. No, this is not required. So just save this. So we are exporting the store. So now the setup is done. Let me close this and let's go to app.js, and here not app.js, I think, yeah, main.js. So here what we are going to do is we are going to import store from store, only store. No, this is not the right way, I think so. We have done reduce Redux, right? So that we will do redux slash store. Okay, and then we need provider also, so import provider from React Redux. Okay, now this app we are going to wrap it inside the provider, so provider, and we are going to pass this store. Okay, in this, and here we need to close this provider, save this, and now let's go to the application. Oh, okay, store, missing the store.js. I think here only we need the store. This should be dot slash, I think. Yeah, store.js, is it? Let me inspect if you are getting any issue. Does not provide an export name default. Okay, to do reducer, 1 second. Okay, this we need to save it, right? To do reducer, we have not export. Okay, we need to export this, export default to do this reducer. Okay, and then let me check again. Now what is the issue? The request model does not provide export name watch to do. Okay, to do Saga. See, we have forget to export. What is the issue? Watch to do does not provide an export name. Export name. Watch to do Saga. We have used this, right? So where was the issue? The request model source redux to saga dot does not provide export name. Root saga, line number 2. So here this is a default, so we don't require this curly braces. Okay, save this. Now this is working. Okay, so if I go to redux and if we go to state, then we have this empty initial array. Okay, now let me just minimize this, and we are going to start working on the HTML part. So remove this. Okay, we remove this. Then what else we need to remove this main app.js. Only we need is add to do and to do list. Okay, so that we will work. Let me close this as well. Now let's work on the functionality. Okay, so here inside the add to do.jsx, I'm going to take a we need to define the state. Okay, to store the to do. Okay, so here I'm going to do to do and set to do equals to use state, and if I click here, so it is auto imported, and inside this I'll take an empty string. Okay, so here let me add a comment, state to hold the new to do item. Okay, so that is done. Then what else we need dispatch. Okay, so we need to dispatch the action for adding the to do. So dispatch, use dispatch. Okay, we need use dispatch from React Redux, and let's close this. Okay, open and round brackets. Then what else we need? Let's come down here inside the text field. Here I'm going to pass the value that is going to be to do. Okay, and then we need on change equals to, and here I'm going to add a function called handle change. Okay, let me close this, and let's create this function. So here at the top I'm going to say const handle change equals to, and here we need to pass the event and arrow function, and here I'm going to say set to do event dot target dot value. Okay, so it will update the to do state with the input value, and once that is done, so let me just console log here let me just console log. I just wanted to show you what is event dot target dot value. So whatever we type here, that we are going to save in that to do. Okay, so if I say morning, see here, once I started typing, it is showing here. Okay, morning walk. So now if I hit add to do, so it should save in this to do. Okay, that's why we are maintaining the state here. So let me just remove the console just to show you whatever we type in the input, that will be stored in this to do. Okay, so this is done now. Now what else we need? So we need now, if I click here, it should dispatch the action of adding the to do. Okay, so that we need to do. That's why we add the dispatch here. Okay, so here let me type it here. After the sx, here I need on click equals to, and let's define the function. So handle add to do. Okay, sorry, and let's create this function. So let me just copy, and here I'm going to say const handle to do, and take an arrow function, and inside I'll take a const. Okay, so basically what happens is let me remove this. Okay, so if I add a space also, and if I hit click on add to do, so that space will also get saved. Okay, that we don't want. So we want a to do that is without the space in the beginning as well as at the end. So for that we will, what we can do is we can take a variable called trim text or trim to do, that is fine, equals to, now we have the to do in the state. Okay, so we will take this to do and we will add a trim function, okay, to that. So it will trim all the white space from the front and the back. Okay, and here we need to add a condition that if trim text, okay, if this condition is true, if the text is trimmed, okay, then you need to dispatch. Okay, so what are we going to dispatch? We are going to dispatch an object that is going to be type, that will be add to do underscore async. Okay, because we have created this watcher function, okay, in our Saga. Okay, so here the next one is payload, that is going to be the payload that is going to be, okay, we also need the short ID. Okay, so that we need to import. One second, import short ID from short ID. Okay, let me save this, and inside the payload I'll take an object, and here I'll say ID, that is going to be short ID dot generate. Okay, so in this way we can generate the short ID, and then we are passing the text that is going to be trim to do. Okay, trim text, save this. Okay, so type is add to do async, and payload we are passing an object with the ID and the text. Okay, let me just save this. Okay, let's check. Okay, so okay, getting some problem, uncaught in promise. Okay, one second, let me just refresh it again. Let me just restart. I think I don't know what is happening. Okay, so let me do npm run dev. Okay, now it is running on 7.3. Okay, no, is already ready. Okay. This is the localhost. Okay, that's what I have done, right? Oh yeah, now it is coming. Okay, so we just reran it, and here let me just add hello. Okay, and let's go to Redux. Okay, one thing which I forgot to tell you, that if you don't have this, you need to add this extension in your machine. So this is Redux extension tool. Okay, so Redux tool extension, Redux extension. So here, yeah, this is the one, Redux dev tool. So you need to add this extension in your machine. So I have already added, so this is saying me to remove, but I have already added in my Chrome. So now let's come here, and if I click on this Redux, as you can see now the to-dos are empty, and if I click here, let me type anything. Why this is not working? I have added a dispatch. We are dispatching the type. Okay, let me just check the name if it is correct or not. Yeah, this is the name, correct. This is the name. I had to do async, yeah. Handle, okay. Yeah, this is also fine. On click, we need to add this function and this function. Why the action is not in dispatch? So let me just inspect it again. Okay, and let's click on Redux. Okay, so I tried. Okay, let me just try it. I just reset it, and let's try again. Hello, good morning. Okay, and if I click on add to do, so as you can see, this action has been dispatched, which is add to do async, and this was the watcher function. Okay, so if I click here, and if I go to do Saga, so as you can see, this is the watcher function. So what it does is, first it trigger this function, okay, add to do async, and this will in return trigger this function, this action, okay, add to do. So as you can see, now we have one to do inside our object. So that is ID, unique ID, and a text which is hello good morning. Okay, but as you can see, if I click on add to do, it is not clearing out. So let me just work on that. So here, after dispatch, we need to set to do an empty string to clear the input. Okay, let me clear this. Let's again type it something. So hello, and if I inspect and go to Redux, right now the status, okay, I have not refreshed, right? Okay, so now the to do's are empty, and if I click here, this action has been triggered, add to do, and as you can see, we have this hello, and this field has been cleared out. Okay, so this was about adding the to do. Okay, but as you can see, we are not able to see the list. This is the static one which we created, but now we need to create, we need to take it from this store, and we need to add it here. So for that, what we can do is, here, sorry, not here, here, what I'm going to do is, here we need to access to do's from the Redux store or local state. So from local state we will do later, but first we will take the to do's from the store. So const to do's equals to, here we need use selector. Okay, so use selector, so let's take the use selector from React Redux. Okay, it is auto imported, as you can see, use selector from Redux, and here we need to say state. Okay, and then an arrow function, and then we need to type it as state dot to do's. Okay, dot to do's, and let's close this. So now if you can see the store, so this was the to do's and then a to do's. So to do's dot to do's, because we wrote the name as to do's. Okay, so here is, as you can see here in the reducer, we have this to do's. Okay, this is a property and we are passing the to do reducer. Okay, that's why to do's dot to do's. And if I console this, okay, if you console this to do, so let me just inspect console. Okay, so this already showing, so let me type something. If I hit enter, so as you can see this were already there, hello, and this one. Okay, I think this is in the local state. Let me just, no, we don't have anything in the local storage. Okay, so let's finish this. Okay, let's go to to-do list, and as you can see we are able to console this to-dos. So now we need to use this. Okay, this to-dos we need to use it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to comment this out, and here we need to take a curly braces, and then we can just map the to-dos which we got. So to-dos dot map, and then we can get the to do. Okay, and arrow function, and then we can show the list item. Okay, so here I'm going to say list item key, that is going to be to do dot id, and inside the list we can show the to do dot text. So to do dot text, and then we can have the icon button. So let me just copy this icon button and we are going to paste it here. Okay, let me save this. So right now we can see, okay, let me just refresh it. So now it is gone because it was not refreshed, so it was showing. Okay, so if I refresh, everything will go away. If I type something, if I add, so as you can see this has been added in the list, but if I click on delete, nothing will happen. But if I refresh, it will go away. So that we will do later. Okay, we will save this in a local storage, but right now we need to work on the delete functionality. For that we need to use a dispatch, because we need to dispatch the action of delete. Okay, so here I'm going to say const dispatch equals to use dispatch. Okay, let's bring this use dispatch from React Redux. Okay, and let's close this, and now here inside the icon button, here I need on click. Okay, so on click equals to, and here I'm going to pass the function which is called handle delete, and here we are going to pass the to do dot id. Okay, because we are using the id to delete the to do. Okay, so this function we need to create. So let's create this function. Here I'm going to say const handle delete, and we are passing the id as an argument, and then we need an arrow function, and here I'm going to say dispatch. And what are we going to dispatch? We are going to dispatch remove underscore to do underscore async. Okay, and here we are passing the payload as the id. Okay, save this. Now what else? Okay, let me just remove this. And let's type it morning walk. Why I'm not able to see? Okay, to do's have been added. Oh, but this remove also is working on the same. Why this is happening? Delete, handle delete. Okay, okay, got it. I have done one mistake, I think so, in the to do reducer, not to do reducer, in the to do saga. Here it is watching. Yeah, this remove to do is a different thing. but where did I use this? Okay, action.payload.id. Okay, here we need action.payload.id because we are passing that. Okay, we are passing the id. Let me just refresh. Let's type it. Okay, still not working because the reason is let me just close this. Okay, if I inspect and if I go to reduce Redux, okay, right now it is empty, but I notice one thing, which is if I do type something and if I click on add, now I'm not able to add. Okay, my laptop is hang. I don't know why. Let me close this. Let's copy this and open a new tab, and now we can try it. Okay, so let me close this as well. Inspect Redux store, and if I type something, why it is not working? Oh, not here. Okay. Action.payload. In the payload we are passing the id, but in the to do reducer we are filtering out with only action.payload. So in to do reducer we need to add this action.payload.id. Okay, let me just refresh it. Why it is hanging? I don't know. And this time we can try it. So still not working. Okay, here as you can see I'm getting this. What is this issue? Cannot update a component to do list while rendering a different component to do list to the local to locate the batch set state call inside to do list. Set state. Okay, let me just pause and I'll pick. Okay, so here I have done a mistake. So here we need an arrow function. Okay, so it should be like this, and if I inspect, if I click on Redux, and now if I add something, as you can see this to do has been added inside here. We are getting this id and the text, and if I click on delete, okay, but this is not getting deleted because this, okay, action has been dispatched, but I'm not able to delete. Okay, handle delete payload, that is id. In to do reducer also we are passing action.payload.id. To do saga, this is fine. Action.payload. So let's go to do reducer, and instead of this id, let's remove this id and then let's try it, because I don't know why. Oh, where is the Redux store? This is added. Now let's click on this delete. Okay, this is working. So basically we don't require this to do action.payload.id, which was already correct. But why did I add the id? I don't know. So to do .id and that. Okay, this is fine now. Now is, if you can notice here one thing, there are couple of things which we need to do, and I wanted to show you something important also. But now what is happening? So if I click here and if I hit enter, nothing happens. I need to click on this button, only then it comes here. Okay, so for that let's go to add to do.jsx, and inside the text field here I'm going to say on key down. Okay, on key down, and we are having an event. Okay, and inside the event there are a lot of properties. So here if you can say if event dot key, that is equal to enter. Okay, if it is enter, then we need to pass this handle dot add to do. Okay, so now if I type something and if I hit enter, so it will work, and if I click on delete, it will get deleted. And one more thing we need to do, if I type something, if I click on the add to do, it is adding in the list, but if I refresh, it goes away. So what we can do is we can use the local storage for it. So let me open the to do reducer. Okay, and let's close this. So here in the initial state, what we can do is we can use the local storage. So here let me just remove this, and here I'm going to say JSON dot, we need to parse, okay, local storage dot, we need to get the item, and here we need to pass the key as to do's, okay, or an empty array. Okay, so this is done. Now once we get this, then we need to set also. So where are we going to set it? We are going to set it in the app.jsx. okay, here let me close this, and inside the app function, okay, here I'm going to say const to do's equals to we need to use use selector. Okay, we need to get the to do's from the store. So here I'm going to say state dot to do's dot to do's. Okay, let me close this. This is extra. Okay, so now once I get the to do's from the store, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a use effect. Okay, use effect from React, and inside the use effect, here this effect can be used to fetch the initial to do's or perform the side effects. Okay, so here I'm going to say local storage, and we need to set the items. Okay, once we get item, then we need to set it. So here the key is to do's. Okay, and here I need to pass JSON dot stringify, and here we need to pass the to do's, okay, which we are getting from the store, and this will only trigger when there is a change in the to do's. Okay, here I have done a mistake. This way, save this. So now this will work now. Okay, if I refresh and if I add something, morning walk, hit enter. Okay, and if I refresh, so it will not go away, it will be staying there, because here if you can see in the applications, here is the key and here is the value. Okay, so as you can see here, we are storing this in a local storage. If I type something else, save this, so it will create one more object here inside it, and it will stay back. Okay, and if I remove it, so that one entry is getting removed and it is storing in the local storage. So this way you can store the data in the local storage and show it. And one more important thing which I wanted to show you. So let's say in the this is the to do reducer, add to do and remove to do, and here if you watch this to do saga, sorry, not to do saga, yeah, to do saga, here we have created this watcher function. But what if I don't want this watcher function? Because basically this is used for the when we are using any API. Okay, and at that moment we are using this async function so that we can have a delay also. So let's say if you are using any API, so here you can add a delay function like yield. Okay, and here we can say delay, and then we can delay it by 1000. Okay, simulator delay for the async operation. So maybe that API is taking some time to from the server, it is taking time, so we can wait for 1 second and we can add this method. Okay, here, but right now we are not using any kind of async operation. So what we can do is we can comment this out, and here we can say export function. We want to export the default function. Okay, so here I can say export default function. Okay, function, and here round brackets, round brackets, and then empty curly braces. Okay, so now this default action have been will be dispatched. So what we can do is instead of using this add async to do, inside this we can use just add to do, and for removing that just use this remove to do and go to do list and just add this. So now if you can see, if I go on Redux and if I add something, if I click here, so only this add to do will trigger. Okay, first what was happening, there was add async to do async was the watcher function was executing, and then the add to do. Okay, now if I click on this delete, so only that remove to do will be triggered. Okay, so in this way, what my point is, like if you are not using any watcher function, then you can default export the function and use this add to do. But let's keep this as it is. Okay, let me just undo this. This is a better way, because if you are using the API, so mostly you will be needing it. So let's keep it as it is. Okay, so this was very important, because sometimes in your application you are not using the API, or maybe basic things you need to store in keep it in the store. So in that case you can use this. So if I click here, now it is add to do async, and then this operation will happen. So if I click, so remove to do async, and then worker function will execute. Okay, so this was the main part of Redux. Okay, so basically my point was to create a setup for Redux Saga, and if you want more explanation or more in-depth explanation, so as I told you, just like my video. Okay, and if you want me to explain in much deeper way, so you can just add a comment. Okay, so that's it guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Till then, take care and bye bye.